Bruh, he said that Lamar Jackson is the poor man's Taysom Hill.
Yo, that dude's tripping.
Get this man drug tested immediately. Welcome in to the Pay Dirt Profile Podcast. This is Dante.
Tony.
Smart.
Ian Kyle.
Got a full squad today. We're going to be going into some of the team outlooks pre-draft, taking a look division by division, seeing what were some of the moves that got made, kind of taking a little bit of time to discuss the expanded playoffs. We're going to have 7 teams in each division now, so it'll give a little bit of a chance to some of these teams that finished outside looking in to try to get in. Before we do that, we just want to let everybody know again that we're basically up on all the platforms that you might listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the like. You can find us at Pay Dirt Profile Podcast. Also at basically all social medias at the Pay Dirt Profile and the Facebook group, the Pay Dirt Profile Podcast. So before we get started, does anybody have any hot takes on who they think Super Bowl champion is going to be? We'll break it all down, but
Bucks.
oh,
Got the best player to ever do it.
to ever do it, yes. I thought you meant in the league right now.
No, but like I said, 7-9, you got a chance to improve. In the NFC, you get to 10 wins, you're going to be in the playoffs, and then you work from there. You got the best playoff quarterback to ever do it.
What was the stats you had, Tony, about the Bucks? About their close games or something?
Oh, yes. So 6 of their 9 losses were a one score loss. And you said Atlanta was a last second touchdown, and they were 7-9. You know, like we said, Jameis threw for 33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. Like those are, and what'd you say, 5,000 yards or something like that?
5,000
like,
yards.
That's pretty crazy. That's a lot of yards. And if you have a guy who doesn't throw the ball to the other team, you can see it.
Right.
Hey, you could say the same thing about the Los Angeles Chargers. If you got a guy who's not going to turn that ball over as much in the fourth quarter, you never know what we might do this year.
Yeah, that is true. It's tough. I'll probably need some time for us to, break it down to really give a good
say
one.
someone.
Chiefs.
Cop out.
Cop out.
That's too easy.
Go back.
You said hot take.
All right, so let's start. What's the top of the list, Tony? Let's get us going here.
On divisions?
Yeah.
Let's start NFC. We already started there. Let's go NFC South.
Bring it.
So we got New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Carolina Panthers in that order of division last year. So New Orleans Saints 13-3, Falcons 7-9, Bucs 7-9, Carolina Panthers 5-11.
I mean, I think the Saints, they picked up a couple of pieces on defense. They also got Emmanuel Sanders recently that we didn't talk about. That's going to be a pretty formidable team. Falcons, we have Todd Gurley, got Robert Quinn, Hayden Hurst, filled some holes there.
Fowler.
Yeah. Why did I say Robert Quinn?
Treadwell.
Oh, man. The difference maker. He unlocks the offense with the 11 for 11 first rounders. I mean, we talked about the Bucs a little bit. Panthers, Teddy Two Gloves.
Well, I think we could all be in agreement that the Panthers are probably going to end up at the bottom of the division.
Right.
And then you can work up from there. I think that the Saints have the best shot to repeat, obviously. Mm-hmm. Drew Brees came back. He's ready to pad some more stats, try and hold off Tom Brady for those passing.
Those are going to be big.
Those are going to be fun games.
Those are great
well, I'm
games.
sure him and Sean Payton will have something dialed up so they can maybe throw the ball at the end of the playoff game, trying to add some stats and get themselves out of the playoffs. But so I think obviously they're clearly the favorite. If you see any drop off, my opinion is the Bucs would be the next team, and then depending on what the Falcons want to do, if they want to let Matt Ryan do his Matt Ryan thing that he's been doing the last couple of years, then I don't think they're going to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if they want to give the ball to Gurley, run the ball, play better defense, then they've got a shot definitely. You could see 3 teams legitimately in the playoffs now that they're 7.
Yeah, I think that's the big one that we've had, division battles. The second and third team have gone back and forth. The Saints have won 3 years in a row, and before that, the Panthers had won 2 or 3 years in a row. But now that they are able to have, one extra team, you might see that division. I mean, you could also see AFC or NFC West, maybe. So it's going to be interesting. I
think of the 2 divisions, those would be the 2 that could get 3.
Right.
The other ones, then you're kind of up for debate.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, are we all in agreement that the Saints are probably coming out of that division?
I think the Saints are a playoff team. Unless
for sure.
Drastically something really happens with Drew Brees.
Drew Brees gets hurt.
Drew Brees gets hurt, and then now they've got to rely on Taysom Hill.
Right.
But just, off the top, Saints, I'm going to go Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers.
Real quick on this Taysom Hill stuff. You know how much I love Taysom Hill.
Man.
Hey, so did you see that Brady Papinga said that?
Stop. Yes, I did see that.
Bruh, he said that Lamar Jackson is the poor man's Taysom Hill.
Yo, that dude's tripping.
Get this man drug tested immediately. So, I mean,
Taysom Hill is Mohamed Sanu.
Right?
Same player.
Right?
They just play different positions.
I was on Twitter and they were chiming in with every single receiver or running back who had better passing stats than Taysom Hill. Like they're like
LT,
Odell Beckham, LaDainian Tomlinson, Mohamed Sanu,
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, they were going ham with all of these players, and I'm looking, and I say to myself, like, I know that you can't really think that, like, you're doing this hot take stuff. Okay, that's fine, but like when you really break this down, in what way, shape, or form are you putting a franchise quarterback on punt coverage?
Who's got better stats? Johnny Hecker.
Wait, can you
Taysom Hill.
Name those players again. You said Sanu, Tomlinson,
Odell Beckham,
Landry,
Jarvis Landry,
Johnny Hecker.
Johnny Hecker.
I mean, there's plenty out there.
What's
Yeah.
Johnny Heckler's
Punter.
Yeah, punter.
What's his ethnicity?
He's white.
Oh,
He's
white guy.
Right? Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, I'm seeing a trend here, and I was like, and I'm trying to bring race into it. That's not what I'm about. But it's interesting to see someone of a different ethnicity performing on that level, right? Like you would think you would see in an African American player. Maybe we cut that out. I don't know. But I just thought that was interesting. I don't know.
He's
it's
performing
different.
very well for a white boy.
It's different, right? It's
Tebow's better than him,
different.
too.
So it's unique and it's interesting and it's fun to watch.
Right. And I guess on that frame of mind, I do need to clarify, like, I don't dislike Taysom Hill the player. I dislike Taysom Hill the narrative of him being a franchise guy. Like because Taysom Hill is unlocking the ability for some players that are versatile, that don't have a position, that positionless football. He's giving those kind of guys opportunity, but he's also making it so a guy like Jalen Hurts, maybe, where they're like, hey, well, maybe you should go play receiver like we told Lamar Jackson to do. It's like, nah, bro, like he's actually a quarterback. This guy's more of a tweener. So I don't really have a Taysom Hill problem. It's a Taysom Hill narrative problem.
I like watching him.
Let's jump to the NFC East.
Okay.
We got the Eagles at 9-7. They won the division at 9-7. You got the Cowboys at 8-8.
go.
The Giants at 4-12, and Washington at 3-13. I just really don't see Washington outperforming last year. Like it's not going to happen.
They're 4-12 this year.
Four or 5 win team. They might get a
Maximum.
little better. Haskins improved, but I can't see him leading them anywhere close to 500.
Right.
So that would clearly keep them out of the playoffs.
Right.
And then you move from there. The Giants, they are getting better.
I think they're still a year away.
Yeah.
If they get some help, maybe Clowney. If they get defensive help, they've got a chance.
Well, that was the big thing last year is that they had some games where they put up some numbers offensively, but they just couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if they can get some formidable defensive play, just like baseline,
NFL average.
Yeah, just give me 15 to 22 overall defense average, and you should be able to see them win 2 to 3 more games. I still think that they're, a 6-7 win team maximum. Don't really see a path to them playing playoff winning football unless they really, really dive into really great defense and handing the ball off a lot.
Before they run Saquon Barkley to the ground.
Hey, man. Don't.
Hey,
our old
better team.
Our old bet's still there.
Bro, so we talked about Saquon Barkley #1 over Sam Darnold #1. And Kyle's big point, and rightfully so, was that he had a shelf life. And I agreed, your shelf life as a running back is generally 4 to 8 years if you're an upper echelon guy. And, Sam Darnold feasibly would have, a shelf life of, potentially 10 years. And, at the end of the day, though, I think Saquon Barkley is a better player. And he's a better player in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And maybe you start seeing year 5 through 8, Darnold start to take a step in the right direction. If you're a good franchise, hopefully you could have capitalized on those first 4 years. Year 5, you might see Darnold be successful, and then you'd be right.
And it goes to my point that the Giants weren't set up to win when Saquon was going to be ready, which is in the next 3 seasons.
Yeah. That was also pre-Odell Beckham trade,
true.
where they had all of the offense set up. All they needed was to, go out and get a quarterback and build their defense.
Right, and they imploded it. So everything
then
kind
they
of
blew everything up.
Did kind of fall off the rails, but yeah, exactly. No. I can't see them being a 7 or 8 win team.
Right.
You might get to 6 because Daniel Jones is okay,
mm-hmm.
but like you said, defense is going to really hold them back.
Yeah.
Then you got the perennial 8-8 Dallas Cowboys, who are going to be riding that same rail. I think
franchise quarterback here. They carry him to another
$50 million quarterback.
Hey, they might be able to get in the playoffs this year at 8-8 though.
Yeah, and maybe you think that maybe this is part of it. America's team.
Oh my god!
We need one more team because then the Cowboys will be in every year. Every year the Cowboys would be in.
Right. Jason Garrett would still be the head coach.
Yeah, right? Yeah, but then you get to that's one extra playoff game with them every year.
Oh my god!
And then you got the Carson Wentz healthy Philadelphia Eagles. If he can stay healthy.
Okay, first things first. Is this Cowboys' last shot, legitimately?
I don't think so. I think they'll
in the foreseeable future. They're gonna. You don't think so?
Last year, being a playoff contender?
Playoff competitor.
Especially now that it's extended, I don't think so. I think they figure out Dak's situation after this year. They're gonna re-sign him. They have to. They have to figure it out. And as long as they have those 3, superstars, on the offense, I think they'll be okay for at least more than 1 year.
Right.
Because Amari's re-signed and Zeke is re-signed.
And then they're going to have to pay Prescott.
Mm-hmm. So I think you have to look at it twofold. I think Jamar is right. As long as they have those guys, they're going to be a playoff contender. But I think if you're taking it a step further, are they going to be able to do anything other than just make the playoffs? I think what you're getting at is that the Eagles have a quality team and Carson Wentz is on the come up. And if Carson Wentz is that dude and he's the next great quarterback that we have, Kyle thinks that he's going to be and he has the potential to be, you're going to look dead into the face of this dude that's in your division. And even though you got there, he's going to continue to, step on your chances. I think that you're right, Jamar, that they could continue to get there, but it depends on Carson Wentz's health. If he's that guy, I don't think that they're going to be able, unless the organization implodes. They've been a great organization with putting pieces in place. He should be able to carry them past, the other teams in this division.
Right. So what scares me is that so they're going to pay Dak and they're going to have paid those 3 guys. Their defense they're going to not be able to sign some guys, and then their offensive line is going to end up falling apart.
Right.
Zach Martin just retired.
Right.
Tyron Smith doesn't have long.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of the 3 are going to be, or 2 of the 5 are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And then that's, I think, where you're going to start seeing some dropping off for them.
So who we think is coming out of this division? Like, who are the
Eagles.
playoff teams?
Eagles,
Eagles.
and then you got fringe Cowboys.
Cowboys. I think it's fair, given the addition, that the Cowboys will probably be a playoff team.
Do you want to touch on the Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers debate?
Nah, we'll come back to that one.
Is that part of our conspiracy theory talk?
We could do a whole podcast on that one. That we have to put the explicit tag on that one.
So we got the NFC West. We had the 49ers winning the division 13-3, the Seahawks 11-5, the Rams 9-7, and the Cardinals 5-10.
I mean, for me, that I could see it going the exact same way this year.
I think the Seahawks pull ahead of the Niners.
You think the Rams are in okay.
The Rams are on the edge, though.
Yeah, I think they'll still be. You're right. I think they'll still be where they're at 3. I just think they might not have the same record. I think they might drop a little bit.
And
I think
losing
everybody
Todd Gurley.
could take one step back, with a
Yeah.
win or so. I don't foresee the 49ers. I feel like their team overall didn't get very much worse, but I think a lot of things went well for them, and they're going to play a first place schedule this year to where, like, I don't think that you're going to be, winning 12, 13, 14 games.
Probably 10, 11.
Yeah, and I think that that's fair, and I think it's still fair that they potentially win the division, or they're second, because I think, like you said, I think the Seahawks could overtake them too. But
When you have arguably the best quarterback currently in the league.
Yeah.
The guy who carries more of a load than anyone.
And imagine if, Chris Carson, their running back core,
Yeah.
was healthy the whole season. Again,
Right.
you never know what's going to happen with health, but the way those guys were rolling and then they lost, they had to bring Marshawn Lynch out of his garage to be their starting running back. Like, he knew the system and stuff like that, but you had those two guys the whole season.
Right.
Yeah.
There's argument that the Seahawks won that division last year.
Yeah, and I we've talked about it on the podcast before, but I think we've given the Rams a lot of credit where it's not due because they had a couple good seasons. Right. They're not a well-run franchise. They've done a really bad job in terms of trading draft picks, paying people incorrectly at the wrong times. Mm-hmm. As much as we want to, the Gurley thing didn't work out. Goff hasn't been as good as his contract, and some of the other stuff. They were swinging for their Super Bowl shot, and it could well be done too.
Right.
Yeah.
They may be out of the window already.
Well, they got there. They just weren't able to, finish the deal. Like we talked about it a little bit. Like, it's fine to swing for the fences because clearly it works. They got to the Super Bowl. Like, it's fine to do that. But you set yourself up with such a little margin for error. You have guys that are getting paid too much money and getting paid too early, so you're not staggering the contracts. Then you are not giving yourselves draft picks to try to fill out your roster. So it's like, if you don't, even let's say they won the Super Bowl, even if they won that game against the Patriots, they would still be in the same spot.
Yeah, but it's still worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you can do it right, then you do it right. But then they're going to be awful this year. Like, they might get the number 1 overall pick and it's going to go to the Jags.
Yeah, it's
like that would be insane. Like, the Jags get Trevor Lawrence next year, and they didn't even have to do anything for it.
Yeah.
Like, that would be
I
crazy.
can't see him being that bad though.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be worst in the league, but there's
But they're one injury away. What if Jared Goff, who obviously is not playing,
dude, Blake Bortles is going to be Brian Tannehill.
I mean, that's kind of true. He just chucks it around a lot.
No, but
let's say Aaron Donald gets hurt. Aaron Donald gets hurt, your defense implodes, and then offensively, you have to try to carry the mail, and then all of a sudden, you're a 5-win team, and you have how many teams that were 5 or 6 win teams last year folded up shop so they can get a better draft pick, but now might try to win 7 games because they might squeak into the playoffs. Yeah. So you might have the number 1 overall pick be a 6-win team or a 5-win team this year. So within the realm of possibility.
I have 2 things. One, with the playoffs, I'm going to try and find it so I can quote it properly, but I know one stat was right, that in the last 20 years since the last playoff expansion, they ran the numbers back. Only one team under 500 would have made the playoffs. With if since 1982 or whenever they expanded to 12 teams, only one team under 500 would have made the playoffs from then to now, running a 14-team playoff
As like a wild card.
So it's not going to happen.
So
It's not likely.
But it's going to happen this year.
Right.
yeah,
Right,
it's
of course.
going to happen
That's how it goes.
more simply because potentially, but they, like I said, they ran all the numbers back to 1982 or whenever it was, and only one under 500 team made the playoffs. So I thought that was interesting because I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and I think we've seen like division winners that have been under 500, but as far as expanding it, you're assuming it's the wild card teams. You're not really getting. You're getting 8-8 teams and 9-7 teams that would have not been in it.
Yeah, because it's interesting. And then just with the Rams, like, I mean, have they had a first round pick in the last 5? They had one last year, right? But otherwise, they gave up in the last 5 years, from when they got Goff, because they gave up 2 first round picks for that, and then I think they had last year's first round pick, and now they're gone 2 more first round picks this year. Like, you're having 1 first round pick in the first 5 rounds. Like, that's rough. And yeah, you can make the argument like Jalen Ramsey, he could be that piece, and they needed that piece last year to that was the biggest stressor in their defense, and Jalen Ramsey should have been the solution.
Right. I mean, I think I'm pulling it up here as far as their first round picks went. They had
because 2 years ago it was Cooper Kupp that they picked up in the second round, and then last year
they had no first round pick last year. Taylor Rapp was taken in the second round. That was their first pick.
So I don't think they've had a first round pick, and they're not going to have a first round pick in a 5-year window. Whew.
Yeah, that's
You're
wild.
about to drop.
I know you're swinging for the fences and trying to win now, but
First round
you
picks
gotta
matter.
you gotta be thinking about the future too, right?
Yeah. So we think 49ers or Rams coming out. Seahawks. I think they're both going to be division or potentially playoff teams, but who do we think is winning the division?
I see the Seahawks, but
I would say Seattle. All right. You're out.
San Francisco. Just to say it. I could see. They're both probably playoff teams again.
So,
and then our last NFC division is the good old NFC North.
Trash.
We got the Green Bay Packers, who finished 13-3. We got the Minnesota Vikings, who finished 10-6. The Bears finished 8-8, and the Lions at 3-12.
I'm sorry to say about your team, bro, but like I think that they're gonna be 8-8. If you look at the trend, like they win double digits and then they win like 8 wins.
It's I got a crazy little stat here though, that they had a point differential of 104. They outscored their opponents by 104 points, and they still lost 6 games.
That means they were blowing some teams out when they actually won, and then they lost some close ones probably.
Yeah, they scored 407 and gave up 303. The Packers scored 376, gave up 313.
I think the Packers are going to fall back, though.
Yeah.
I don't think they were as good as 13-3.
No.
So you're probably going to see them at 10 or 11.
Well, also, they did the one thing that they haven't done for years is run the ball. And do we think that Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to go into seasons where people were talking about him being potentially washed or not the same guy? He's going to do that Drew Brees stat padding stuff. He'd be like, hey, guys, I know you're talking about Tom Brady. I know you're talking about Drew Brees, but remember me. And they're going to fall back just based on like the last several years when they've been very pass heavy. He's put up great stats, and they've been hit or miss. Like, I don't think that they're going to be 9 wins, but 13, like, I see, like, 10 to 11. Probably.
Yeah. The thing, when he plays, when the team is good, and, like, he's a front runner, right? So everything's going well, he's going to play on schedule as a quarterback.
Right.
He's going to do what the coach is asking, right? But when he thinks something's going wrong, or he doesn't like how it's going, that's when he starts playing off schedule. That's what he did with McCarthy. But he just did it those last couple years all the time.
Right.
So he was not going through his reads, his progressions. He was trying to play schoolyard stuff instead of throwing the ball on time.
Right.
So if he continues to play like he's capable of, then they should be fine. But if him and LaFleur get into it at some point and he doesn't like that he's not getting all the credit, then you could see them definitely taking a big step back.
Right. How you feel about your Bears, Jamar? That's like your
My
surrogate NFL NFC team.
Just like Allen Robinson,
The
David
Bears-
Montgomery.
Yeah.
The Bears gave up the 4th least points in the league, the whole league last year. They only gave up 298.
And they
They
still
could
suck.
only score
They still
280.
It's still nice to watch.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
Mack putting in work,
He's so
work
good.
on these teams.
Right.
I mean, that's the only dude I really like on the Bears, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't see them doing too much.
I think they could fall off the rails for him.
You think they're gonna drop off?
Well, I think Nagy's on the hot seat. Trubisky thing's going on. You might just see them come out bad. You know, they're trying to be too fancy. Come out like 1-5, clean it up. Nagy's out, Trubisky's out.
That's what I was going to say. Nick
getting
Foles
some-
by week 6.
Right.
Yeah.
It almost would be better for them. Like I don't think that Matt Nagy has done a bad job. Like I think that the Trubisky pick was beyond asinine, and you take your lumps for that. But like outside of that, they've put together a quality roster, and and outside of the 9 tight ends they have on their roster that they don't even throw to. But anyway.
But they want to roll Tariq Cohen out into the slot.
Yeah, so
David Montgomery.
so most of the stuff they've done, and I think they've done all this cute stuff because they know that Trubisky's not the guy, and they have to figure it out. Like if you get Foles by week 6, does he spark a run? And now all of a sudden you're like, all right, we can do one more year of Foles, get somebody else, trade Trubisky for a 3rd or 4th round pick, and then we have a better vision moving forward. Like, I think that's within the realm of possibility. I think Trubisky is just holding them back. He needs to be somewhere else. He needs to be somewhere. He needs to have the same Jameis Winston style humbling experience. Maybe not humbling, because I don't think that he thinks that highly of himself or whatever. But he needs to go somewhere and like sit down, learn, refine
a
his
fresh
skill set.
start.
Yeah.
He just needs a fresh start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I see them and the Lions just duking it out at the bottom, and I agreed that I think the Packers and the Vikings are going to be fighting for that, like just above 500. Like
First to 10 wins is in the playoffs
Right.
from that division.
Right.
You actually could see both of them, though.
you could. With,
The NFC is not all that solid.
I mean, it's 7 teams per NFC, AFC, so it's you got almost 2 per division that are going to make it, which is interesting.
Does anybody else think that like they shouldn't have done one additional? That they should have just did 2 regardless? Like obviously that balance, it doesn't balance that way. Like,
Yeah,
it,
I just
like,
don't
it
think
leaves
it
it
would-
off. But like
It makes more sense in the long run, but I don't think it would end up... Because then all of a sudden, whoever, if you're like the 8th best NFC team...
Everybody makes.
You gotta
playoffs.
play in
but
the
you,
AFC.
you go to the AFC, but...
yeah.
And then I don't think it'll work.
You got 50% of the league making the team if
Yeah.
you're making the playoffs if you go that far. But
Yeah.
and it, I don't know. I kind of like the incentive to being the best in the NFC. Only one team gets the bye. Like there's some perks and interesting things to it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening in on our NFC breakdown. Please join us for our next episode. It'll be part 2. We'll be diving into our AFC teams, which team could make the playoffs, which team could win a division, and we'll also let you know which team we think could end up being next year's Super Bowl champ. This is Dante signing out solo for the guys. Until next time, we're out.